They say success begins in the mind, not in money, not in talent, not in luck, but in thought. And that's exactly where our journey begins. It was the early 20th century. A young man named Napoleon Hill found himself sitting in front of one of the most powerful men in the world, Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie, the steel magnate, was a billionaire in a time when billionaires were unheard of. But he wasn't just rich. He was curious about why some men rose to greatness while others remained stuck in mediocrity. The single conversation between Carnegie and Hill would spark a 25-year mission. Carnegie challenged Hill to interview the most successful people of the age, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Alexander Graham Bell, and dozens more, and discover the secret behind their success. Not theories, not luck, but real lived experience. And what Hill discovered changed the world. He didn't just write about money. He wrote about the power of the mind. He discovered that success, whether in wealth, love, happiness, or health, always begins with a burning desire, not a wish, not a hope, but a relentless, white-hot obsession that refuses to be extinguished. So let's go back to the beginning. Imagine a man with a dream so vivid it wakes him in the middle of the night. He can see it, taste it, feel it. That's not fantasy. That's the first ingredient of success. That's desire. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Think about that. Not just conceive it, your mind must believe it. Belief is the fuel. Desire is the spark. But belief is the flame that keeps it alive. In the story of Edwin C. Barnes, we see this principle at work. Barnes had one burning desire: to work with Thomas Edison, not for him, but with him. Everyone laughed at him. He had no money, no influence, and no connections. But he had something more powerful: a decision, a definite purpose backed by burning desire. He didn't arrive at Edison's office saying, "I hope there's a job." He arrived saying, "I will become Edison's partner." That's the difference between wishing and deciding. At first, Edison gave him a small job, nothing special. Barnes swept floors. He ran errands. But he stayed close. He listened. He waited. And one day, Edison needed someone to sell a new invention, the Edison dictating machine. No one believed in it. No one wanted to sell it. No one except Barnes. He saw opportunity where others saw failure. He believed when others doubted. And because of that, he made a fortune and fulfilled his dream. This is what Napoleon Hill calls the power of a definite chief aim. Most people drift through life without a compass. They hope things work out. But successful people decide. They pick a destination. They don't wait for motivation. They create it. You see, desire without direction is like a firework without a fuse. It may have potential, but it never takes off. Now imagine this. A man wakes up every morning with a dream. He thinks about it, talks about it, but never writes it down, never plans it. Years go by, and the dream fades. Compare that to someone who not only dreams but decides, writes it down, creates a plan, and takes action every day. One of them will look back with regret, the other with results. Hill says, "Desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible." But let's talk about faith, not religious faith, but belief. Belief in yourself. Belief that you can achieve what you desire. Faith, as Hill defines it, is a state of mind. It can be created through affirmation and repeated instructions to the subconscious mind. This is why self-talk matters. The words you repeat to yourself, your inner story, become your reality. If you say, "I can't do this," your mind listens. If you say, "I will find a way," your mind listens to that too. So how do we build faith? Through autosuggestion. Every day, repeat your goal out loud. Not just once, but morning and night. Not like a robot, but with emotion. With belief. With vision. Say it like it's already true. Say, "I am earning $10,000 a month through my creative business." Say, "I am confident, resourceful, and unstoppable." Say it so many times your subconscious mind starts to believe it. Because once your subconscious believes something, it becomes unstoppable. The subconscious mind is like a soil. Whatever seed you plant, good or bad, it will grow. If you plant doubt, fear, and anxiety, you'll harvest failure. The next ingredient, specialized knowledge. Hill makes a powerful distinction here. There's general knowledge and there's specialized knowledge. The world is full of people with degrees and diplomas who are broke. Why? Because they never learned how to use their knowledge. It's not about how much you know, it's about what you do with what you know. Specialized knowledge is focused, it's useful, it solves problems. And when you use it to serve others, it creates wealth. Henry Ford didn't know everything about engineering. In fact, he was once criticized for being uneducated. But he built a team. He surrounded himself with people who knew what he didn't. And that's another key. You don't have to do everything yourself. Build a mastermind group, a team of people who support your vision and help you grow. Great leaders don't know everything, but they know who to call. And speaking of leadership, Hill reveals something most people miss. Real leaders don't rule by fear. They inspire through vision, trust, and example. They take responsibility. They are bold, decisive, and fair. They lead by serving, not by controlling. Leadership is not about position, it's about influence. And you can't influence anyone if you can't control yourself. Which brings us to decision. Hill discovered that successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly, if at all. Unsuccessful people hesitate. They wait. They ask 100 opinions. And in the end, they miss the moment. Indecision breeds doubt. Doubt breeds fear. And fear kills dreams. So ask yourself, what decisions are you avoiding? What dreams are you postponing? Remember, you don't need to know every step. You just need to take the first one. Clarity comes from action. And when you take that step, something magical happens. Life starts moving. Opportunities appear. People show up. Resources align. It's as if the universe rewards those who act with courage. But there will be resistance, there will be failure. That's why you need persistence. Hill said, every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. Most people quit too soon. They face one setback and give up. But winners keep going. They fall 7 times and rise 8. There's a story of a man who bought a gold mine. He dug for months and found nothing. Finally, he quit and sold the mine to someone else. That man hired a mining expert who discovered gold just 3 feet from where the first man stopped digging. 3 feet. That's how close most people are when they quit. So don't stop. Don't listen to the critics. Don't give up just because it's hard. Success is not for the lucky. It's for the relentless. Success never arrives by accident. It demands discipline. It demands planning. And most of all, it demands a mindset that refuses to accept defeat as final. Napoleon Hill introduces us next to the power of organized planning. Now here's something most people get wrong. They believe planning is about having the perfect strategy before taking the first step. But the truth is, the plan doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to exist. Even a flawed plan executed with belief is better than a perfect plan that never begins. Hill teaches us that successful people plan, test, fail, adjust, and try again. The unsuccessful, they wait for the stars to align and they never move. Organized planning isn't about never failing, it's about failing forward. And here's the key. When you plan with purpose and surround yourself with others through your mastermind group, you multiply your power. Remember, Ford built his empire not because he knew it all, but because he had the vision and gathered the minds who could turn that vision into reality. Now let's go deeper. Hill talks about the mystery of the sixth sense. This is one of the most fascinating parts of the entire book. He describes it as an undefined sense that gives you sudden hunches, flashes of insight, or gut feelings that seem to come out of nowhere. Is it magic? No. It's the power of accumulated knowledge, life experience, intuition, and subconscious learning merging together at a higher level. But it only becomes active after you've mastered the other principles. When you train your desire, control your thoughts, repeat affirmations, surround yourself with the right people, and take persistent action, this sixth sense awakens. It begins to guide you in decisions you can't rationally explain but feel deeply are right. Some of the greatest inventors and leaders in history made world-changing decisions by following this mysterious inner voice. Hill doesn't ask you to blindly believe in it. He asks you to develop yourself to such a high level that you begin experiencing it. But the road to success isn't just paved with desire and decision, it's full of obstacles. That's where the subject of fear comes in. Hill identified 6 basic fears that hold most people back. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. These fears are the invisible chains that keep people from taking the risks that lead to freedom. They whisper lies like, "What if you fail? What will they think of you?" Or "You're too old to start now." But these fears only have power if you give them your attention. The moment you face them, they begin to dissolve. Fear feeds on doubt, confidence kills it, and confidence comes from action. You can't think your way out of fear. You have to move your way through it. Want to overcome fear of criticism? Start creating in public. Want to beat fear of poverty? Learn to earn, save, and invest. Every fear loses strength when you face it head-on. Now let's turn to one of Hill's most misunderstood concepts, sex transmutation. At first glance, it sounds strange, maybe even inappropriate. But what Hill meant was this. Sexual energy is one of the strongest human drives. That energy, if not wasted, can be redirected toward creation, achievement, and influence. Throughout history, many of the world's greatest creators, thinkers, artists, and leaders learned to channel that energy into their life's work. It's not about denial. It's about redirection. It's about taking that raw, intense energy and aiming it toward your goals. When you do this, you gain a magnetic charisma, a sharper focus, and a deeper level of drive that few can match. The greatest men and women in history often possessed this aura of magnetism. It wasn't always physical beauty, it was energy, conviction, and passion channeled properly. Then comes the subconscious mind, your silent partner in creation. It never sleeps. It absorbs every thought, emotion, and belief you feed it. Think of it like a 24/7 factory producing results based on the orders you place. If you constantly focus on fear, worry, and doubt, your subconscious creates situations that match those emotions. But if you feed it confidence, belief, and definite purpose, it aligns your thoughts, actions, and environment to create results in harmony with your desires. This is why autosuggestion is so important. Repeating your affirmations isn't about blind positivity. It's about reprogramming the most powerful system you have. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between truth and lie. It believes what you tell it consistently, so tell it a story worth believing. Then, there's the brain. Hill explains that the human brain is like a broadcasting and receiving station. Thoughts are not just private, they're powerful frequencies. When you focus intensely on a goal, your mind emits that thought into the universe, and other people aligned with that frequency respond. Ever notice how thinking about someone intensely causes them to call you? Or how being obsessed with an idea leads you to the exact book, person, or opportunity you needed? That's not coincidence. That's the power of the brain tuned to a definite purpose. The more emotionally charged your thoughts, the stronger the frequency you send. Persistence is doing the work long after the mood you started with has faded. It's showing up every day even when your goal feels a million miles away. And it's trusting that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Napoleon Hill reminds us that success is never an accident. It is always the result of specific, learnable principles applied with consistency. He spent decades gathering these truths, studying the giants of his era, and distilling their wisdom into a philosophy of wealth. Not just financial wealth, but the richness of a life lived with purpose. Think and Grow Rich is not just a book. It's a blueprint, a manual for the mind. A call to rise above mediocrity and create a life by design, not by default. And here's the truth, it works. It works for those who read it, believe it, apply it, and never give up. So now the question isn't, does it work? The question is, will you? The true power of Napoleon Hill's message is this. It isn't limited by time, industry, or background. It applies to the entrepreneur, the artist, the athlete, the dreamer, because at its core, Hill's philosophy isn't about getting rich. It's about becoming rich in thinking. And thinking is universal. But for thinking to lead to success, it must be shaped. It must be directed. And above all, it must be disciplined. This is where so many people fall. They confuse activity with productivity. They stay busy but never get closer to their dreams. Hill teaches us that thinking, right thinking, must be intentional. Every thought must align with your definite purpose. Every action must reflect your chief aim. Otherwise, you're not growing rich, you're just growing tired. Let's go deeper into the power of desire. Most people believe they want success, but their actions prove otherwise. They say they want financial freedom but spend every dollar they earn. They say they want health but ignore their body. They say they want love but never work on themselves. The truth is, desire without discipline is a fantasy. Real desire shows up in sacrifice, in consistency, in patience. Edwin C. Barnes didn't just want to work with Edison. He was willing to wait years, doing small tasks until his moment came. That's desire with discipline. That's the type of desire Hill tells us transforms dreams into reality. Hill also makes it clear that riches begin with an idea. Not a paycheck, not a degree, but a single powerful thought. What's the difference between a rich person and a poor person? It's not inheritance or education, it's mindset. You can take all the money from a wealthy man and he'll find a way to make it back. Why? Because his mind knows how. It's programmed for wealth. That's the real asset. Hill's book teaches you how to program your own mind for that same level of success. Now think about your own life. What thought are you giving the most energy to right now? Is it your dream or your fear? Because whatever you think about consistently, you move toward. That's the hidden law most people ignore. They obsess over their problems and wonder why they multiply. They dwell on lack and wonder why money slips away. Hill teaches us to flip that. Focus on abundance. Focus on what you want, not what you fear, and keep your thoughts aligned with your vision, even when reality doesn't reflect it yet. Especially then, Hill reminds us that you don't need to know how it will happen. You just need to decide that it will. That's the beauty of the subconscious mind. When you impress a definite goal upon it and fuel it with faith and emotion, it begins to organize your thoughts, decisions, and actions toward that outcome. You'll have hunches. You'll see patterns. You'll notice opportunities others miss. It's not magic. It's the mind doing what it was designed to do. Solve problems and seek outcomes that match its dominant thoughts. This is why clarity matters. Vague goals produce vague results. You can't say, I want to be successful someday. That's not a goal, that's a wish. You must say, I will earn $100,000 a year through this business by this date. That's clarity. That gives your mind a target. The more vivid, the better. Add emotion. Add belief. Visualize it daily. Speak it out loud. And then act as though it's already on its way. Remember, action is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Without action, your thoughts are like seeds left in a drawer. They'll never grow. Hill reminds us that faith without action is dead. Even the best idea means nothing if it stays trapped in your head. Start small if you must. But start. Momentum is your friend. Once you begin, things start to move. Let's talk about failure. Hill flips the common belief that failure is the opposite of success. He says failure is a part of success, a necessary part. Every setback carries the seed of an equal or greater advantage. Think about that. Failure isn't a dead end, it's a detour. It's life saying, not this way, try another. Edison failed over 1,000 times before he succeeded with the light bulb. Ford's first car company collapsed. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. If they had listened to failure, the world would be darker, slower, and less magical. So why do most people quit? Because they never committed fully. Their desire was a flicker, not a fire. Hill tells us that burning desire, backed by faith and persistence, can overcome any obstacle. But without those ingredients, even the smallest challenge can become a mountain. Your mindset determines your altitude. So fuel your mind daily. Read inspiring books. Listen to powerful voices. Spend time with people who believe in possibility. This is not a luxury. It's survival. Your dream depends on the environment you build around it. Hill also discusses the importance of imagination. He divides it into two types: synthetic imagination and creative imagination. Synthetic imagination is when you rearrange old ideas into new combinations. Most business ideas are born this way. Creative imagination is something deeper. It's when ideas seem to come from outside yourself, from the ether, the unknown, the sixth sense. Both are powerful. But they only work when you are engaged, when your mind is active. When you are obsessed in a good way with your vision. The more you think, act, and breathe your purpose, the more your imagination kicks in and gives you ideas you never knew were possible. Hill's message is simple. If you want a new life, you need new thoughts. And to get new thoughts, you must feed your mind daily. Just like the body needs food, the mind needs direction. Otherwise, it becomes weak, scattered, and prone to fear. Most people live their entire lives letting circumstances shape their thoughts. But successful people shape their thoughts, and their thoughts shape their circumstances. That's the secret, not luck, not genetics, but control of the mind. He also warns us about procrastination. the silent killer of dreams. Every time you delay action, you reinforce the habit of waiting, and the more you wait, the weaker your desire becomes. Hill says successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Unsuccessful people take forever to decide and then change their minds often. Indecision is the enemy. It breeds doubt. Doubt breeds fear. And fear, left unchecked, becomes paralysis. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Decide, move, act, begin. Even if you don't have it all figured out, you never will. Life rewards those who dare, not those who delay. Let's talk now about the people around you. Hill stresses the importance of who you associate with. Your mastermind group is not just a concept, it's your ecosystem. Are you surrounded by people who stretch you, challenge you, encourage you? Or are you surrounded by critics, cynics, and energy vampires? Your environment either lifts you or limits you. Choose wisely. If you don't have the right people yet, seek them. Online, in books, in mentors. Your growth depends on it. Lastly, Hill gives us one final powerful truth. Everything begins and ends in the mind. That's where dreams are born. That's where fears are defeated. That's where destiny is shaped. Your mind is the master key. Guard it, train it, feed it, and most of all, believe in it. Because the person you are becoming is being formed by the thoughts you choose today. Choose boldly, choose wisely, and remember, you have the power to think and grow rich, not just in money but in every area of life. The journey to wealth begins in the invisible. It begins with desire, decision, belief, and action. But even as we embrace these principles, there's something deeper we must face. Our own doubts. That little voice in our head that says, "You're not good enough," or "You're too late," or "You failed too many times already." Hill understood this voice well. He called it the enemy within. And he showed us that the only way to silence it is through consistent mental discipline. He reminded us that our minds are like fertile soil. Whatever we plant, thoughts of confidence or thoughts of fear, will grow. So the question is, what are you planting? Too many people feed their minds with news, gossip, negativity, and doubt. They scroll through social media and compare their journey to someone else's highlight reel. They wake up reacting instead of creating, and slowly, without even noticing, they become prisoners of their own thinking. Hill begs us to break that cycle, to take control, to guard the gates of our mind and protect it like it's our most precious possession, because it is. He tells us to create a mental environment where faith thrives and fear dies. Let's revisit faith, not in a religious sense, but faith in the unseen, faith in yourself, faith in the process. You have to believe before there's evidence. You have to trust before the results show up. That's the hard part. That's where most give up. But the winners? They walk in faith until the facts catch up. They act as if their dream is already real. And eventually, it becomes just that. Think about the Wright brothers. No one believed humans could fly. Scientists laughed at them. Experts said it was impossible. But they believed. They acted. And one windy day at Kitty Hawk, their dream took flight. That's the power of belief backed by action. It rewrites what's possible. Hill reminds us that you don't need everyone to believe in your dream. You just need you. And once your belief becomes unshakable, the world begins to bend around your vision. It's not that the world changes. It's that you change. You see new opportunities, you notice new paths. You become the kind of person your goal requires you to be. That brings us to one of Hill's final and most powerful lessons, the transformation of the self. Think and Grow Rich isn't just about external wealth, it's about internal growth. It's about becoming someone who can handle success, not just chase it. It's about character, discipline, vision, and resilience. Because here's the truth. Money comes and goes. Fame fades. Achievements are forgotten. But who you become in the pursuit, that's eternal. You want more success? Become more valuable. You want more influence? Serve more people. You want more freedom? Master your habits. Hill's book is a mirror. It shows you who you are and who you could become. It shows you the gap and then gives you the tools to close it. But tools only work if you use them. Hill lays out the principles, but you must do the work. You must write your definite purpose, repeat your affirmations, visualize your success, build your mastermind group, take daily action, review your plan, adapt, persist, reflect, refocus. Do it again and again and again. Success doesn't happen in one big leap. It's a series of small, consistent, intentional steps taken every day, no matter how you feel. And when it gets hard, and it will, you remember why you started. You remember the dream that kept you up at night. You remember the life you promised yourself, and you keep going. You don't stop because it's slow. You don't quit because you feel afraid. You walk through the fire. You grow in the darkness. And eventually you emerge, not just richer but stronger, wiser, and more alive than ever before. This is the real message of Think and Grow Rich. It's not a magic formula, it's a personal revolution. A decision to stop living by default and start living by design. A choice to stop blaming circumstances and start building character. A vow to stop chasing money and start chasing purpose, knowing that money will follow. It's about thinking with clarity, believing with conviction, acting with courage, and growing into the kind of person who creates abundance everywhere they go. So what happens now? Now it's your turn. Take the principles in this book and make them your own. Don't just listen, apply. Don't just dream, plan. Don't just wait, act. Start today, not tomorrow, not next month, right now. Write your purpose, define your goal, speak it daily, visualize it vividly, feel it emotionally. Take a step, even a small one, then take another, and don't stop, because everything you want is already within reach. Your dream is waiting, your future is calling, and the power to create it is already in your hands. All that's left is for you to decide. Will you think? Will you believe? Will you act? Will you persist? Will you grow? And ultimately, will you choose to be rich? Not just in money, but in mind, in spirit, in freedom, in joy, and legacy? If you will, then welcome to the path. You are no longer a seeker. You are a creator, a thinker, a doer, a builder of dreams. And it all begins with the decision to think and grow rich. Now that you've walked through every principle, every example, every idea embedded in Think and Grow Rich, let's take a moment to truly absorb what this journey means. Because knowledge is not power, applied knowledge is. You could listen to this script 100 times, memorize every word, and still be in the same place if you don't act. But the moment you take even one aligned action, you've changed your entire trajectory. Think back on what you've just learned. You've been given a blueprint, a mental GPS to navigate through doubt, resistance, mediocrity, and rise above it all. You've seen the way desire turns into reality when it's backed by burning belief. You've learned that faith isn't a passive emotion, but a force you can train. You've heard how autosuggestion can reprogram your subconscious mind, how specialized knowledge is power when directed, how imagination is the workshop of the soul, and how organized planning brings dreams to the physical world. You now know that decisions must be quick and unwavering. That persistence wears down resistance. That power comes from harmonious alliances, and that fear is nothing more than a ghost created by your own mind. And above all else, you now know that thoughts are things. Hill's core message isn't just that you can think and grow rich. It's that you already are thinking something, and that something is either building your dream or slowly tearing it down. Most people are sleepwalking. They live by default, reacting to the world instead of creating it. But not you. Not anymore. You've been given a rare opportunity. You've been exposed to the inner workings of some of the most successful minds in history. You've heard the wisdom passed down through centuries of trial, error, and triumph, and now, it's in your hands. The next chapter of your life isn't written in fate, it's written by you. Will you become the kind of person who reads or listens, gets motivated, and then forgets? Or will you be the kind of person who acts, who changes the way they think, who rewires the patterns, who speaks a new reality into existence every single day? Because the truth is, success isn't complicated. It's just not easy. It requires clarity, hunger, discipline, focus, consistency, and above all, faith in yourself. It requires you to do what most people won't so you can live a life most people can't. So how do you start? You start small. You write your definite chief aim and read it every morning and night. You speak it with emotion. You visualize it. You feel it. You act in alignment with it. You review your habits. You let go of anything that doesn't serve your vision. You create new systems, new environments, and new beliefs that support the person you're becoming. And when it gets hard, when doubt creeps in, you persist anyway. Because now you know what's on the other side: success, impact, fulfillment, freedom. This book isn't just a map to making money. It's a guide to building character. And that's what the richest people in the world all have. Character that sustains their wealth. Anyone can get lucky once. But to create lasting success, the kind that compounds and echoes beyond your own life, you have to become someone different. Someone focused, someone fearless, someone intentional, someone who thinks and grows rich not only in dollars but in value, in impact, in mindset, and in spirit. So take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is the life I truly want to live? Don't answer with limits. Don't filter it with logic or fear. Just imagine it, see it, hear it, feel it. Because that vision you hold, it's not random. It's your soul speaking. It's your potential calling out. And now you have the tools to make it real. If you do what Hill teaches, not just once, not just when it's convenient, but as a lifestyle, you will create success beyond what most people ever imagine. You'll see opportunities everywhere. You'll attract the right people. You'll become magnetic. And you'll wake up every morning knowing you're building a life that matters. A life designed by choice, not chance. That's what Think and Grow Rich is really about. So go, design it, live it, breathe it, own it. Become the person you were meant to be. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more leaders, more creators, more thinkers, more doers, more builders, and more people like you who are willing to do the inner work to unlock the outer reward. Think, believe, act, persist, grow, lead, and above all, think and grow rich.